It is Tuesday, December 9th, and Representative Ilhan Omar is in trouble. New breaking reporting that Ilhan did, in fact, marry her brother. The real story now coming out, and it reads something too dramatic even for TV. Wait till you see this.
Kind of immigrants that you do want to see in America?
They certainly contribute. Yeah, I want to see people. Yeah, I want to see people that contribute. I don't want to see Somalia. I don't want to see a woman that marries her brother to get in and then becomes a congressman, does nothing but complain. All she does is complain, 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 and yet her country's a mess. It's one of the worst in the world. Let her go back, fix up her own country. Somalia, yeah, and I was right about it. I started complaining about Somalia long before the scandal. The horrible things they're doing to Minnesota, it's incredible. They have an incompetent governor there, too. The Democrats are running some bad ships.
In a new exclusive Daily Mail report, they confirm that Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar did in fact marry her brother, family friends going on the record for the first time and saying she would, quote, do what she had to do to get her brother papers to keep him in the United States. This story, it first broke years ago, probably 8 years ago or something like that. It was then given national attention on Tucker Carlson's Fox News show. The story that mainstream media, by the way, refuses to touch, which is very telling. It's the one story you never hear them fact check, which tells you everything. Well, we now know why, because it turns out it's true, at least according to this new Daily Mail report. They interviewed close family friends of Ilhan's, including a guy named Abdi Hakim Osman, the first person to go on record speaking about this, saying she wanted to get her brother papers so he could stay in this country, stay in the United States, saying she said she needed to get papers for her brother to go to school. We all thought she was just getting papers to allow him to stay in the country. When she married him, though, no one even knew about it. No one knew there had been a wedding until the media turned up the certificate years later. And he's not the only one. Apparently, members of Ilhan's community are a bit perturbed now by all of this. Not because she married her brother, but because she did so using a Christian minister instead of an imam. Check this out. She first married a guy named Ahmed Hirsi in 2002 in a Muslim ceremony. Then they legally split in 2008. Osman saying when Ilhan got married to Hirsi, a lot of people were invited. It was a big Islamic wedding uniting two large clans in the community. But when she married her brother, Elmi, in 2009, no one even knew about it. She used a Christian minister, even though they're Muslim. And look at the Daily Mail printing all of this in black and white now, saying they have confirmed it, writing, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar told friends years ago that the man who went on to become her second husband was in fact her brother. DailyMail.com can confirm this. And now, for the first time, one of those friends has come forward to reveal exactly how Omar and Ahmed Elmi scandalized the Somali community in Minneapolis. They write, look, this is her brother Elmi. Look at them. Here's a photo of Ilhan. Side by side, they look like siblings. Look at her first husband. Clearly not her sibling. Elmi, clearly her sibling. The guy confirming all of this for the Daily Mail's report is this guy, Abdi Hakim Osman, pictured here with both Ilhan and her first husband, and it gets way more salacious. This is nothing yet. They write, in the late 2000s, Elmi appeared in Minneapolis, said Osman, who referred to Hirsi by his nickname Southside throughout the interview, saying people began noticing that Ilhan and Southside Hirsi were often with a very effeminate young guy, Osman said, who spoke in Somali through an interpreter. He was very feminine in the way he dressed. He would wear light lipstick and pink clothes and very, very short shorts. In the summer, people started whispering about him. That's her younger brother. Hirsi and Ilhan both told me it was Ilhan's brother, and he had been living in London, but he was mixing with what were seen as bad influences that the family did not like, so they sent him to Minneapolis as rehab. Yikes. And the walls are apparently closing in on Ilhan. The New York Post reporting last month that the FBI is investigating all of this, the marriage and had met with a source in Minneapolis who handed over a trove of documents, they said, related to the marriage. Any findings were to be shared with ICE and the U.S. Department of Education. The paper reported anyone found guilty of committing marriage fraud faces up to 5 years in jail and a fine of $250,000. Here's another picture of Elmi, Ilhan's brother. They say they purposely used the Christian minister to conduct the ceremony because an imam would have known they were related and would have refused to marry them, or because they would be lying to Allah, something I'm assuming is a big no-no for Muslims. Here's the actual marriage license. Here it is, showing Ilhan Omar did in fact marry a guy named Ahmed Elmi, who's her alleged brother. Here's the pastor who married them in 2009, the Christian pastor, and it's not just marriage fraud that she's alleged to have committed.
I'm also asking Congresswoman Craig to initiate an ethics investigation into Congresswoman Omar because of questions about federal tax fraud, federal immigration fraud, federal student loan fraud, and state violations of perjury, bigamy, kickbacks, and acts of campaign fraud abuse in Boston, Washington, New York, Chicago, and Florida. There are also violations of state ethics or of the Minnesota House ethics rules regarding colleges for speeches she gave while she was in partial control of their budgets as a member of the House Higher Education Finance Committee in both 2017 and 2018. She was found guilty of the violations by the Minnesota Campaign Finance Board 3 weeks ago in order to return those funds on June 6th. Ms. Omar appears to be a serial career criminal and should not have access to our nation's highest secrets and intelligence. That is why I'm calling on our Congresswoman Angie Craig to protect both our national security and our respect of the rule of law. Tax fraud, immigration fraud, student loan fraud, perjury, bigamy, kickbacks, and campaign abuse fraud from the East Coast to the Mississippi River. I'm presenting you with a copy of my letter and just a sampling of the materials available to you on these topics, and we'll take your questions. Here's the sampling of materials that I have offered you today. Anybody who would like them, there's many more than this available all over social media and in printed publicity and elsewhere. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll take your questions.
In the story, still not over, folks. Ilhan then remarried her first husband and had a third child only before moving out of the family home last year and into this luxury penthouse where she now lives with her new husband, who was her chief fundraiser, a guy named Tim Manette, who left his wife and daughter to marry Ilhan Omar. Holy freaking moly. This lady is a walking, talking scandal. She not only married her brother, but she's a homewrecker as well. All of this, the FBI apparently investigating, along with how Ilhan Omar is now allegedly worth $30 million. $30 million bucks. Can you say corrupt?
So it's been known for quite a while that Ilhan Omar apparently married her own brother to help him gain entry illegally into the country. That's a violation of immigration law. That actually happened, it turns out. And now we're learning the FBI had evidence to confirm it, but didn't do anything about it. Miranda Devine is an actual journalist. She works at the New York Post, where she writes a column. She joins us tonight to explain what exactly happened. Miranda, thanks so much for coming on.
Pleasure, Tucker. Well, some basically Republican operatives up in Minnesota decided to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on private investigators to really find out if Ilhan Omar was a genetic match, the DNA match, to the man who was her second husband. They went to 3 continents. They found a cigarette butt and a drinking straw, which they decided, they sent it to a DNA laboratory and found conclusively that the DNA matched, that the second husband was a sibling, according to this DNA sample. So the very day that they were going to unleash this on the world, and in fact I was interviewing one of the people involved, the FBI swooped on the gentleman, Anton Lazaro, from this Republican PAC up in Minnesota, and arrested him on some different charges. Who knows whether he's guilty or not guilty? I mean, he's not guilty until proven, but he's in jail. And so his story never got to see the light of day. I mean, luckily he'd told the FBI they were not interested. They told him the statute of limitations had run out. We managed to see the website before he took it down, before he was arrested, and managed to report the story such as it was.
I wonder, just kind of spitballing here, what will be more shocking to her fellow liberals? The fact that Ilhan Omar had an incestuous marriage to her own brother, or that she smokes cigarettes? Which will they be more stunned by?
Definitely the latter, and they've got photographs of her smoking the cigarette, so I don't think that's at all in doubt.
Yeah, incest is just a kind of alternate lifestyle, but smoking a cigarette, that's immoral. So just to be totally clear, she did marry her brother, we know that. Not only repulsive, but illegal, it's fraud. She's not been indicted, she's not going to be indicted, that's totally cool now?
Well, the FBI was told by one of these associates of these people that found the information and was just told no, that they've just decided the statute of limitations has run out on marriage fraud, even though there's no statute of limitations on immigration fraud.
Yeah, or on smoking cigarettes, apparently. Miranda Devine, great to see you tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks.